Hey y'all, Pam here with Be Creative Crafts and welcome back. So y'all, what am I going to make using some scrap yarn, an empty cottage cheese container, and this textured coat Mod Podge? We're going to take this empty cottage cheese container and we're going to turn it into something really cute. Now y'all, I was going to take off the ink, but unfortunately only the black ink would come off with the fingernail polish remover. So what I'm going to do is after I finish the project, I'll come back and paint it with some plastic paint. This is by Folk Art. That way it'll adhere to this and not peel off. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to cover this. I've got some yarn here. Whoa. And I've got an empty bowl. And what we're going to be using to put the yarn onto the container is this Mod Podge texture coat. And this works as your glue, stiffener, all the things. See, glue and seal. And this does dry white. Once it's dry, then you'll be able to paint it. So let's go ahead and let me show you how we're going to do this. Okay, so this texture coat is white. So we're just going to pour a little bit into this bowl here. We're going to start out with just a tiny bit. And then I'm just going to take my yarn. Let's see, how do I want to do this? We'll just set you here for now. And then I'm just going to dunk the yarn right into it. Now, could I wear gloves? Sure, but I'm not gonna. We're just going to dump it right down in there. We're going to get a nice little coating on it. Okay, so now that's good and coated. Now that I've shown you how I'm doing that process, I'm going to slide it off screen and bring this one back over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here at the bottom with my yarn. Whoa. Okay, first, let's put something here to keep you from rolling. Boom. There we go. So I'm just going to wipe off some of the excess with my fingers. If y'all can see what I'm doing here, I'm just kind of dragging it. And then we're just going to take it and we're going to lay it right here on the container. And then I'm going to start wrapping it around and around and around. Until I run out of yarn. So it's not going to go all the way up the container. It's just going to give me a little bit of a texture down here at the bottom. And then I'm going to set it aside to dry. Ooh, look, I did one complete round. Hee hee. Okay, so now I need to get more. I'm going to continue putting my yarn down in the Mod Podge. You know what? Maybe I need to do, let's see, hold on. Let's pull that back off. Let's load it up a little more, shall we? Change of plans, guys. I'm going to go ahead and just start dipping this yarn right down in here to the into the Mod Podge texture. And I'm just going to get it fully coated as best I can, as much as I can. Because that seems to be like it's going to work easier. Let's get my container back over here. Find my end. Alrighty, now let's take our little container here, tip it over. And now I'm going to take the end and I'm just going to wrap it around and around the bottom of this container until I get it to the height that I want it to be. And then I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. Now, this is going to take about 24 hours to dry. Maybe a little longer, depending upon what the weather is doing. But I'm thinking it's a pretty nice day out. So I may just set this out on the front porch so it can dry a little faster. Now, as I was saying, this is going to dry white. So it doesn't matter what color your fabric is or your yarn or whatever you are wanting to use to create that texture on your project. it will dry white, and then you are able to paint it when it's dry, or if you want, you can just leave it white. All right, well, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to have to add a little bit more of the texture to my bowl so that I can cover more of the yarn. And then I will be back. All right, so I'm at the end of my yarn here. And as you can see, I've made quite the mess. I found that flipping my container over made it easier to turn. So once I get this all wrapped around, if you see any places that you missed getting the texture coat on, you can go back with your fingers and add more if you think you need it. Just to make sure it's fully coated. But I think I've got plenty on here to spread around and share. And what I may do is put some of the texture coat without anything on it up above. I don't know. We'll see. Y'all just coming along for the ride. We're going to see how this turns out. I'm almost to the end. I thought I was closer to the end when I turned y'all back on, but apparently I was not. Okay, there's the end. There's the end. I see it. I see it. Okay. And there we are. We're just going to tuck that in so that it looks all, yeah, just like that. That's what we've got. So now we're going to, like I said, now we're going to let this dry. It's going to take it a while. And since I made such a big mess down here with this part, I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of the texture coat on it. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. Maybe with my fingers, possibly. And then we're going to let it dry. Let's see. Let's see how well the old fingers do. Yeah, we're just going to rub it on with my fingers. That's what we're going to do. All right, it's fully coated. Whoop, let's scooch it back so you can see. And as you see, I did go ahead and fully cover it. When it dries, we'll see how it looks. Now, this is water soluble, so it will wash off your hands. And as it starts to dry, you can just peel it off. Like, remember when you were in school and you'd put the glue on your hands, and then when it would dry, you'd peel it off? So you can do that with this as well. Okay, I'll be back when it's dry. All dry. Now to add a little paint and turn this into a cute little container to hold my goodies. So to paint this, y'all, I'm using Apple Barrel and Folk Art paints, and I'm using that texture coat as my base layer. And then I'm just painting right on top of it. Okay, there we are with 2 coats of blue. And these little driplets, I have a plan for those. But I think 2 coats of the blue covered it. And here it is. All right, y'all, so the drips became the center of the flowers. Now, y'all, again, I use this Mod Podge texture coat. That's how I put the yarn on the bottom there. And I think it turned out super cute. But with the drips drying at different heights, it gave me different heights of the flowers. And this is how it turned out. All right, y'all, have a fantastic day. Remember, be creative. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye.